But even with that, I still felt that she needed to find somebody with experience, who has gone through the ladders of diplomacy, and who understood what diplomacy was all about. She actually told me, she reminded me, that even she herself is a pediatrician. She said, as a matter of fact, you may not realize that being a doctor more than prepares you for diplomacy. I still didn't get it until one day in Washington, one other diplomat actually dissected it for me. He said, you see, you doctors, you see patients in your offices to keep them from getting sick. But should they get sick, you do your best to keep them from going into the hospital. Should they end up in the hospital, you do your best to keep them from getting into the intensive care. And should they end up in the intensive care, you do your best to keep them from dying. Well, diplomacy is the preventive care of international relations. We use words and meetings to keep us from going into war, to keep us from going into conflict. Should we end up in conflict, we continue to use those words and negotiatings and tactics to keep us from getting into war. And if we do get into war, we mitigate the effects of the war, and hopefully we won't stay in the war for too long. So when they put it that way, I thought, well, I suppose that's what we do. But that came later. I went to Washington very convinced that I was not going to stay, because I did not think I had anything to offer. I stayed in a hotel, and I had no intentions of renting a place or buying a house. By month 5, I'm getting close to my 6-month deadline. Something very apparent occurred to me. It was the profound, deep respect of the other. That singularly, I remember calling my husband and telling him that I was going to stay just a little bit longer. And I told him the reason I wanted to stay is that I needed to pay to But be it as it may, I finally found a place to stay, and here I was, trying to understand why is it that we, Black people, are the most disrespected race on earth. What have we done to these people in this world? We, the origins of humanity as we know it. We, the continent that has everything and anything the world can ever need. Why did the world collectively come together and decide, no matter where you encounter us on earth, disrespect us? And wherever you encounter us, if you are not Black, you're automatically superior to us, and that we are inferior. That has got to change. And as I look at it and I begin to also just understand ourselves, the question is, why aren't we doing something about it? When I look at what is being done to our continent, even on the continent when we should be feeling like we are home, why haven't we done something about it? Why do we feel powerless? Even when we come to the negotiating table with our Caucasian brothers and sisters, we seem powerless. We are automatically afraid. These are basic issues that affect even economic development in Africa. These men and women, they are scared. They're accepting bad deals simply because there is a Caucasian counterpart across from the table. We are simply scared. That's unacceptable. We are the most beautiful, handsome, hardworking people I know, most intelligent people I know. We have got to snap out of it. But I narrowed it down to 2 things. This issue of Black and white. Black is associated with everything bad and undesirable. Even the devil is Black, even though nobody has ever seen the devil. White is associated with everything perfect and desirable, and angels are white, even though nobody has ever seen an angel. It was just given to us, and we accepted it, and we never questioned it. And then we, Black mothers, are trying to raise our children in our homes, telling them they are Black and beautiful, but the world out there, we are immensing them. The minute they walk out through your door to leave your home, they are immersed with negativity about Blackness. Nothing Black is good. That which our children represent is undesirable. And yet the other group of kids are being born and raised to be told everything that you represent is perfect and desirable. They leave their doors feeling superior. Automatically they look down on Black people. Automatically our kids are looking up to the white kids. I have concluded. This issue of Black and white is where it begins. And this way it ends. And that's why this issue of feeling inferior is percolated through from one generation to another generation. But I tell you what, it cannot happen in Africa, not anymore. begin by giving a brief recap of how we got to be where we are. Because when we understand how we got to be where we are, it's easier for us to navigate this journey, not only physically, but also in our mind. We have lost the shackles in our ankles, we have lost the shackles in our wrists, but the shackles of the mind are still very tight. And each and every one of us have got to make it a mission to have a conversation in the mirror to unshackle ourselves, because nobody else can do it except yourself. It's not until we have unshackled those shackles in our minds that we can be in a better position to do what is right about us, about our continent, to do something about reclaiming our respect, because we simply cannot leave this world the way it is for our children and grandchildren. We have a responsibility to fix this. And that starts with each and every one of us getting that realization that the shackles in the mind, they have got to go. 1884. After the colonizers had been running around our continent, exploiting us with no organization, they started killing each other, fighting over how to steal from the Africans. They decided to meet in Berlin so they can organize themselves to keep from having a European war on the African soil. They met in Berlin to organize themselves so they can effectively loot from the Africans. They also met in Berlin to talk about how they can organize themselves in a way to see to it that Africa and her children are forever defeated and dominated forever. So make no mistake about it. The meeting, the famous Berlin Conference, was a plan to dominate and destroy Africa and her children. History tells us they sat down and looked at the big old map of Africa, the more powerful a kingdom was, and keep in mind, prior to the Berlin Conference, we were powerful kingdoms. The countries in Africa that we know today did not exist in 1884. We were powerful kingdoms with well-established educational and religious systems. They set out to destroy all that. We were way too powerful for them. One Englishman is quoted saying he had traveled around the breadth of the African continent, and not once did he see a beggar, not once did he see any hungry person. He saw some amazing, powerful people that if they do not come up with a strategy to make the Africans believe everything African was bad and everything European was better, there was no way that the British could conquer these amazing people. So Berlin Conference was a way putting together a strategy to destroy who were once powerful kingdoms. So the more powerful a kingdom was, the more countries that came out of it, the more languages that came out of it, to see to it that you give it 1 or 2 generations, people who were once one will never know each other. I often use an example of if you pretend you're driving from Zambia, you're speaking English, pretty soon you're in Angola, you're speaking Portuguese, pretty soon you're in DRC, you're speaking French, Equatorial Guinea, Spanish, Southern Cameroon, French again, no, English, Northern Cameroon, French, then you're in Nigeria, back to English, after Nigeria, you got Ghana, you got English, then you're okay there, before you know it, you're in Togo, back in French, maximum distraction of it. And all this happened over a great big old table in some street in Berlin, while the Africans were minding their own business, sleeping in Africa. History tells us that husband and wife were sleeping in Zambia. When they woke up in the morning, the husband was in Zambia and the wife was in Malawi. It was so arbitrary, they didn't care about the lives of the people on the continent. So it is they chopped up your Africa into the tiny little economies that we see today. Economies that will never survive on their own. I often use an example of a boxing ring. Even boxers know heavyweights belong to the heavyweight boxing ring, lightweights in the lightweight boxing ring, middleweight in middleweight, and wannabe boxers somewhere out there you don't mix them. How do you take a wannabe boxer, which is what most African countries are? How do you take Djibouti and put Djibouti on the same world stage with China? How do you take Eswatini, former Swaziland, 1.2 million people? They go to the world stage because they were given the same sovereignty as the big boys. Djibouti has the same sovereignty as India. Togo has the same sovereignty as the United States. Central African Republic has the same sovereignty as China. And they say, gets beat up, Eswatini won't even make it to the stage right now. Eswatini is going to collapse before even getting on the stage. And the world says, well, Eswatini, why can't you feed your people? What is wrong with you? Why are you getting your rear end kicked by these big boys? Well, it's because I'm a wannabe boxer. You're throwing me in. I often say, taking my husband and putting him in the same boxing ring with Mike Tyson. It is a very unfair world. So to talk about why aren't things working in Africa, it's ridiculous. It makes no sense. Africa was left in a losing lane by the Berlin Conference. And as if that wasn't bad enough, when they decided now they were going to give us independence, between 1958 and 1961, France did something absolutely deplorable. They forced these 14 African countries to sign what they called the Pact for the Continuation of Colonization. And I repeat, you thought they could have found a different name for the document. They said, you will agree to continue to be colonized in a different way. And what did the Pact say? The Pact said, you monkeys, you don't know how to handle your money. We are going to deposit 85% of your bank reserves with the Central Bank of France under the control of the French Minister of Finance. The Minister of Finance will take all your deposits, pull them together, and then invest them in the French stock market. You may or may not know the returns. Should you wish to access some of your own money, you have to present your financial reports for the country. And if approved, you can only access up to 20% of your own money year in, year out, as a loan at commercial interest rates. Hello. France was the only one to print your money. They created a currency called CFA. There was a Central African CFA, there was a West African CFA, and that France was the only one that can print your money. Fast forward 2019, France is still printing the money. Fast forward 2019, France is still continuing to collect the deposits from the African countries. The only difference is the deposits have gone down to about 50 to 60%. That your language of instruction shall be French, that France will print your educational textbooks, that France will have military presence in your country, that France is the only country that can train your military and you can buy your military equipment only from France. Do you think France is going to train your military to be superior to them? Do you think France is going to sell you military equipment superior to them? And yet they have presence in your country. And the document also said France can invade your country without notice should they feel French interests are being violated within your country. That you cannot have military presence with your neighbors. That in the event of war, you can only align yourself with France. It gets even better. France said all your minerals discovered and yet to be discovered, all your oil discovered and yet to be discovered. France has the first right of refusal. If there's anything left that the French do not want, you may. Your people might have it. There's a list. I urge all of you to Google the Pact for the Continuation of Colonization. And if that does not disgust you, I don't know what will. 1963, our Pan-African leaders realizing that Africa was left in the wrong lane. Africa was left in the losing lane by the Berlin Conference. They realized that the only way for Africa to take a rightful place on the world stage is for Africa to speak with one voice, one continent, one Africa. So they met in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, 1963, at the invitation of Emperor Haile Selassie. They went to Addis Ababa divided sadly. We had the Casablanca group who were Ghana, Guinea, Mali, Egypt, Morocco, Algeria, and Tunisia. They said Africa for the Africans at home and abroad, and African Union now. Unfortunately, the Monrovia group were the minority. They were the majority. Of the 32 that attended, when they voted, the Monrovia group won. They were the nationalists. They said, let's go slow. 55 years later, we're still going slow. But all is not lost. Last year, March, the African heads of states met in Kigali. They said the insanity of yesteryear has got to come to an end. Africa can no longer continue to be abused and beat up as a little boy on the world stage. Africa is the big boy of the world, and Africa must take a place on the world stage. So it is that they signed what we're now calling the African Continental Free Trade Area. 52 African heads of state signed. We only needed 22 countries to ratify. Ratification means they go back to their countries and put this decision through their parliament for approval. And if approved, they will bring the ratification papers back to the African Union. Well, the NES says the international community was laughing at us. Oh, you Africans, you'll never speak as a bloc. This CFTA thing is never gonna work. It's gonna be a piece of paper in a drawer. You Africans, you'll never be one bloc. Nobody believed that Africans can do it. And they were right, based on our behavior of the past. But I'm here to tell you, my brothers and sisters, that there is something going on in Africa. There's a wave of change that's going on, sweeping through the continent, that I need to share with you. Ratifications normally take a long time, understandably so, which is why they were so confident this was not going to happen. The average ratification takes about 5 years. 13 months since the African heads of state signed the AFCFTA, March of last year. April of this year, the 22nd ratification was deposited with the African Union. Hallelujah. 7th of July, we are going to officially launch the African Continental Free Trade Area. I am calling it a pregnancy of 56 years. Baby is finally coming. You can look at the various meetings the African heads of states have had for 56 years, my brothers and sisters. And every one of them trying to accomplish what we have finally accomplished. And it was only accomplished within 18 months. That's when we know. When it's time for change, it's time for change. They tried to foil this process, to keep the heads of states from getting to where we are today. They failed. And exactly 6 months to 12 months from the 7th of July, trading as Africa is going to begin. How great is that? So I'm here to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, that the process of strategizing for the development of the continent is going to begin. The road from Cairo to Egypt is going to be built. The question is, who is going to build it? The high-speed railway from east to west is going to be built. The question is, who is going to build it? Take the development that's in this country, multiply by 5. That is the development that is needed in Africa. The question is, who is going to build it? Well, let me tell you something. By December, they begin to realize, oh my God, they're going to get this ratification. This CFTA stands for Continental Free Trade Area. So if you hear me say CFTA, that's just happening. This CFTA is getting ready to happen. We saw more embassy applications by countries that we never thought were even interested in Africa than ever before in the history of Africa. 350. Some countries having multiple applications. Everybody is moving into Africa to strategize on how to take advantage of an Africa that's now swinging her doors wide open. In addition to approving the African Continental Free Trade Area, the heads of states also approved the protocols for the free movement of people. That means all you need is citizenship in one country. After that, the whole continent is open to you. Africans can live and work wherever they desire on the continent. Some of you also know that flying from one part of Africa to the other is easier to fly from that part. I'm trying right now, as I was trying to, the summit is in Niamey, Niger. To go from Niamey, Niger to Cairo, it was going to take me 24 hours. So what do? I go to Europe. And I come back to Cairo. That is the story of Africa. What the African heads of states also say, this is insanity. This has got to stop. Because a lot of the African airspaces are closed. So they signed what they call the Single African Air Transport Market. So far, over 30 countries have already opened their airspaces, and we're hoping by the end of the year, all of Africa's airspaces are going to be open. So the children of Africa can move around, on the ground, in the air, freely, like they should. Change is coming to Africa, my brothers and sisters. The biggest fear now is the heads of states have gone out of the way to pave the way and create an environment that's going to make it easy to do business and trade in Africa. The question is, are the children of Africa going to be on the table? While everybody else is strategizing, guess who is still sleeping? The children of Africa. The heads of states have made it very clear. They said, Ambassador, and I'm going to say this, and I need you to hear me clear. Two groups. They said, if you do anything, you tell the African Americans, and I'm saying this because they have named the African Americans directly. You tell them Africa is home and they must come and take what is rightfully theirs. That's what they say. I should tell every African American that the 20 acres and the mule are not coming. But that you have your 1,000 acres and your 1,000 mules waiting for you at home in Africa. The Afro-champions, the billionaires and millionaires of Africa, they're going to be making a major announcement during the summit next week. It's a financial commitment for infrastructure development in Africa. It's a 10-year plan. The Commissioner for Trade and Investment, along with the Chairman of the African Union, have said, Ambassador, bring the diaspora to the table. They want a representative group of African diaspora that's going to be on the table with the Afro-champions, not only to strategize on how the development is going to go on, but to be on the front line when it comes to those contracts that needs to be given. The truth, my brothers and sisters, is you don't go to China and find black people in front of the line. You don't go to Mexico and find black people in front of the line. You don't go to India, you don't go to Europe and find black people in front of the line. Why must you go to Africa and find non-Africans in front of the line? It is unacceptable. Yeah. The African Union has defined the African diaspora and the African as all people of African descent living outside Africa. What is in Africa is your inheritance, and you deserve the first speak at everything African. And that can only happen if we know where you are and what you do. You see, in this country, ask for the voices of the Jewish people, loud and clear. The Irish, loud and clear. The Mexicans, the Chinese, the Indians, loud and clear. They know where they come from. They know what their anchor is, and they are connected with their anchor. And which is why they flourish in everything they do. Because they are anchored people. Black people in this country are not anchored. You are like palm trees. The wind blows this way, there you go. The wind blows that way, there you go. And it was all by design. You are being told that don't go to Africa because it is a diseased and dying continent. That people are constantly at war with themselves. You can worry about security. But for those of you who've been to Africa, fly into the plains. Who is occupying those plains? The majority of the people are our Caucasian brothers and sisters and Chinese, not us. So while we are being told, don't go to Africa, it's not safe, we listen to them. But they are running to Africa to take what is rightfully yours. All is in your country, my brothers and sisters. The African heads of states have made it very clear. This time it has nothing to do with the country. It's an international fund for infrastructure development for Africa. It is developing Africa. You can no longer stop and complain to the heads of states. They have created an environment for us to be part of the change that is going on in Africa. And they have asked me to bring you to be part of this change, to be part of the strategizing. This is completely new entity. There are no plans, by the way, my brothers and sisters. The environment has been created, but there are no plans. You can either be on the table to be part of the planning or the Chinese will. It is just that simple. They have put it very simply to me. They said ambassador development will happen in Africa. The question is it going to be the children of Africa for a change, building the Africa that we want? They have been intentionally underdeveloping Africa and building the Africa that they wanted, an Africa that can always and forever be exploited through the divisions that must come to an end. I don't know about you, but I refuse to leave this world the way it is for my children and my grandchildren. We have a responsibility to our children to fix this before we die. And we have that opportunity. And the only way we can reclaim our respect from these despicable people is through economic empowerment. Yes, slaves have been free. Yes, African countries have gotten our political freedom. What has that done for us? We must have economic power because we are the owners of one of the most amazing, richest, incredible continent on earth. Where the origin of humanity as we know it, the DNA that runs in these veins is a DNA of originality. So as I like to conclude by saying, we, the beautiful, intelligent, sophisticated, highly adaptable, and totally indestructible African children, we need to stand on top of the mountain and let the world know who we are, the proud children of one mother Africa. Let's go home.
Hello, good afternoon, everybody. I appreciate Madam Ambassador.
State your name and what you do and where you're from.
Okay, my name is Godswill Nwakpo. I'm from Nigeria. I'm in oil and gas. I drill oil and gas wells. I have my own company, Diaspora. And after 20 years of working all over the world, drilling oil and gas wells, I started the business drilling oil and gas wells within the US, and I've been drilling oil and gas wells all over the United States, from North Dakota to South Texas, California to Pennsylvania. And it's been pretty, and it's incredible because most of the practices and most of the value that my company and the things I do bring to the US and US economy, sometimes the satisfaction is mixed because I wish I could do exactly the same, bring the same value to my continent when I do these things. And it's very, encouraging to hear you, visit with us and share most of these visions and missions with us, because that way we now have the confidence, we now have the understanding that, yes, all those value, all those opportunities that we're creating here in the United States, we could be able to go back home and create these opportunities. Now, my question is quite simple. We have so much talent and so much individuals that have so much to give to the continent. The question is, how can they assess those pathways to be able to bring the value? Because, as you know, the the resources are scattered all over the continent. The opportunities and gateways are scattered over the continent. So going to the continent is something that I believe we are going to do. But who do we interface with?
That's a simple question, sir.
Okay.
They're fully aware of that. Right now, the beauty of it is we're looking at dealing with the African Union, not 55 African heads of states. They have given us Raila Odinga, the former Prime Minister of Kenya. He is now the Special Envoy for Infrastructure and Development. He is going to be coming to the US in September, and we are planning on having 3 big meetings where he's going to address the diaspora, and you get to hear it from the horse's mouth. What they have done, let me give you an example. Some of you may not be aware. The country of Egypt sent $7 billion to Ohio for wheat. Wheat. The bread that Egyptians eat, the wheat is grown in Ohio. Does that not disgust you? That's just one country. Many other countries are buying wheat from all over the world. Serious money that we don't have. The same wheat could be grown in Africa, but because Egypt is only dealing with Egypt, when the people need the bread, they're going to go and get the wheat where they can find it. Because of the boundaries, thanks to the Berlin Conference. What they're going to do now is they're going to give you another statistic. The biggest corridor of trade is trade from East Africa into Central Africa. But do you know how the goods have to travel? From East Africa, all the way down to Cape Town, all the way back up, and then they get to Cameroon, Yaoundé, then they're ferried into Central Africa. So something that should have cost very little, by the time it gets here, it's now so very expensive. What's needed is a railway line from East Africa to Central Africa. Then. These are the strategies need to be done. What they're doing now is they're in the process of looking at the continent in the way that should have been done in the beginning. What do we need? What are we getting from outside? What is the insanity that is going on that has to stop? Zimbabwe has to buy Mozambican oil after Mozambican oil has been outside the country, outside the continent, only for Zimbabwe next door to buy it back at 20 to 30 times the cost. I was talking with a brother who makes some of the best towels in Egypt. He said, my sister, my towels have to go to Italy, only to be relabeled Italian towels, only for my brothers and sisters on the continent to buy the same towels at 20, 30, 40% of the cost. The cost of doing business in Africa goes against economic growth. It is just that simple. So they're starting with that insanity to say, what do we need to do? The insanity of goods having to go all the way from East Africa to Central Africa. Put the railway line. That's the first highway. That's the first railway line that's going to be built. Wheat is a problem. Which countries are importing wheat? Let's find a region in Africa that's going to be the wheat production region. Let's push everybody to build, let's push farmers to grow wheat for distribution to the continent. Which part of Africa does better with what? Let's concentrate that in this region of Africa. This is the common sense thinking that has been needed but could not be done thanks to the Berlin Conference because of the borders. So I am saying, my brother, I need you on the table when those strategic decisions are being made. Then once you know these strategic decisions are being made, it's no longer a Nigerian issue. It's no longer a Kenyan issue. The highway is only passing through Nigeria. It's going on. Are you with me?
Yes.
And all the issues are going to be dealt with from the AU level. We just need you to be on the table, to be part of the strategic plan. And then now that you know the expertise that's needed. And when we are organized, we come back and say, guys, and this is nothing that one company can do, by the way. It's going to call for collaborations among companies who are doing similar work. Because these contracts are monsters. They are huge. So we have to start thinking big. Like one minister put it very nicely, he said, Ambassador, talk to the children of Africa in the diaspora. That we don't want you to come home and look forward to be an owner of a gas station. We want you to think about owning the oil rig. It's a very practical thinking. And it's not going to be as difficult as you think. It's going to be difficult for the African on the continent because we did not show up. But if we show up, get is up. Because everything they need is in the diaspora. And that's why we must organize. It has been simplified.
Actually, we're gonna change a few things. We're gonna actually be served food and what we're eating.
I tell you what, let's do this quickly. If
Yeah.
they can be to the point,
Yeah.
let's get the questions
Let's ask
out of the
questions
way.
straight out. Yeah.
Okay.
Two questions
Okay,
at a time. I'm gonna start right here.
He was first.
I'm gonna take two at a time.
No,
Right
he
here.
was first.
Oh, he was. Sorry.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
and Carl.
Just state your name and,
Let's make the questions brief.
My name is Brandon Ajay. I'm a local businessman here in Houston. I'm Ghanaian descent and American descent mixed. My dad was from Ghana, my mother's from America. But my question is, my wife is Zimbabwean, by the way. I'm going to be in Zimbabwe for the whole month of July. I read an article earlier this year about the hydro plant that's going to be built by GE, a partnership between GE and China. That's going to be a $4 billion deal. It's going to really revamp big falls. My question is, once we do have the ratification, so once we do unshackle ourselves, I think a big hurdle is going to be psychological from all the freedom and all the new influx of getting together. And then the legality aspects, dealing with like Exxon, who has 100-year contracts for mineral rights and all these kinds of things, dealing with that. I believe the African Union is prepared with the leadership who knows these things better than myself or anybody else in this room.
What's the question?
My question is how to bring the cohesion together.
I just told you, sir. We have Raila Odinga. He is going to be the decisions have already been made. If it's right now, first level is infrastructure and agro-processing.
My question is more related to the checks and balances of that. So preventing any corruption, like completely bifurcating anything that is not suitable for ethical progression.
Again, like I'm saying, we are going to be on the table running. If we choose to be corrupt ourselves, it's on us. That means when you go to the table, whatever issues you have had in your head, get rid of them. We will have a process that we put in place to say, if you're going to get a contract, this is what's expected of you, or the contract will be taken away from you. We're not going to continue corruption. Who are the corruptors? It's human beings like you and I. So if we choose to be corrupt, then so be it. We get what we deserve. But when it comes to corruption, they are acutely aware that there cannot be corruption. But because we need to be on the table, if we just decide to be corrupt within ourselves, then we deserve what we do. But this is something completely new, son. I want you to understand that we are building it from ground up. There's never been a time when we looked at developing our continent. It has always been the little countries. So I want you to know this is something new, and I want us to be on the table to be part of the creation of the process of developing Africa and implementing that process. It is something new. It has never been done before. And that's why we must have representation on the table. And they want the diaspora on the table. Yes,
Right here.
next question.
They're right here.
Yes, good
Take two questions at a
yes,
time.
thank you very much, Doctor. My name is Dr. Shell Adigun. I am a chiropractor and a biomechanist. I'm also a two-time Olympian from Nigeria who started the first ever African bobsled team. I am extremely moved by this is everything that I stand for. And my question is, how do we get to the table? Where do I need to sign up? Where do I go? How do
But we need to be part of a database. We need to be part of the organization. I already have about 20 people who are going to the summit with me that are going to be sitting down and listening to Obasanjo do a full presentation of the infrastructure development in Africa. Getting involved, knowing where you are. So those people who have gone, when they come back, George Fraser, the meeting that we just ended, he's going with that hope that he can come back and go blast it all through the networks. We need to be part of a network. So the messaging is simple and to the point. So if whoever ends up being the chair for Houston, the chair for the region, the chair for Dallas, All those are going to be key people that are going to be given the information and given updates on how things are going. And we hope that there are people who are in a position to travel. The next big meeting is going to be in October on infrastructure, on agro-processing. That's another important one that we must attend. When we are at the table, believe me, they need all our help. Everybody that's going to be on the table is going to end up with a role one way or the other. They don't have the capacity. Please hear me when I tell you this. So we must be on the table.
I just want to add something for everyone to write this down. AURegion6.org. AURegion6.org. So that's where you get all the information, the updates. That's very important.
And also,
It's on the flyer. It's on the flyer.
and also, please give out your numbers.
Yeah.
What about your numbers as well? Give them your cell phone.
My number is, just you can reach, I chair the region, so 903-245-7363. And when you sign up, the local chapter will have a WhatsApp or some kind of communication mechanism, and the chairperson or lady will be able to share a lot of information with you. So keep my number.
Sorry, can you repeat your number?
903-245-7363. Your Excellency, Dr. Lloyd Parker is our host here, and he is such a common one. He's been all over Africa.
And right quick, before the vote.
I don't have the 5 seconds. Ambassador, you are my shero. You are my shero. And I say that because hearing you speak, it takes me all the way back to Osachi for Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. All the way back. I was able to meet him before he went into exile in Ghana. And I hear him through you right now. And I'm excited about it because I've been running this center for 50 years. June 1st, 1969 was when this center was born. And it's called SHAPE, Self-Help for African People Through Education. Self-help. So, brother, when you don't put any doubts in your mind, I know you didn't, but I'm going to remind you, we're going to succeed in what we're doing. And we're going to succeed because we're going to start out the right way. And accountability is going to be our big brother. Accountability. And on behalf of SHAPE Community Center, we welcome you, we honor you, we lift you up. We know that we believe in a circle of interdependence. I am because we are. We are therefore I am. There's no me without you and there's no you without me because we are part of a circle of interdependence. We need each other. So SHAPE Center today commit to work in every kind of way with the organization, with AU, to ensure its success in every way. When you came and you needed a computer, you got one. You needed some paper, you got one. You needed a copy machine, you needed a place to meet, you got one. You need some chairs to sit in, you got some. See, these are practical things. These are nuts and bolts that we don't even think about. We talk big, and we talk and we say things, we have all these, but we don't think about the nuts and bolts. But brother, we gotta start somewhere. And I hear you, I receive what you said, and on behalf of my board of directors, SHAPE Community Center, Houston, in fact. Yes?
Yeah.
The Black United Front that joins in unity with you, we're ready to work with you in every way. And we love you. I gotta hug you, man.
I want to give them Rispa's number, Kathy and Angelo. Kathy is local. She's a local Houston person. She's on a certain committee. And Kathy's number for your purpose is 713-540-0081. Yeah, that you can reach out for. That's 713-540-0081. Rispa, the secretary of the organization, is 469 360 0009.
Also email them all that information.
Yeah, once you sign up, you get all this information. Really, there's no need. We'll give you all the information about us. And when you go to this 6, we'll show this. So, Angelo?
My number is simple. It's 210-542-2932.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Yes, my sister.
My name is Olufemi Babalola.
Oh.
From Nigeria. Actually, I'm happy that Angelo called me and told me about this meeting. I appreciate the presentation by the ambassador. This is wonderful because I'm chairman of what we call the African Coalition Party Board of Directors, and I try to get some of my people to come here. But now I have to do the second-hand information, which I'm happy to do. One of the key issues is the contacts, and I want to be able to get some people who know what you just presented to be able to come to our organization to make those same presentations, because I don't think I can present it myself.
Sister.
Good afternoon, Madam Ambassador. My name is Donna Sims Wilson, and I represent an organization of African Americans who control billions of pension fund dollars focused on infrastructure on the continent of Africa. We just concluded a large conference in Baltimore where we announced that over $800 million to date had been invested in power, water, and transportation. And so I want to know specifically about this infrastructure fund that is being put together, and how can our African Americans, who are the original diaspora, as you say, how can we use our influence over these pension dollars to work with the African Union to deploy our capital?
Actually, people like you, and after you came to me, you are one of those people who really need to be on the table. And if there was some way that you could make it to Niamey next week, I will do my every level best. It's a completely closed session, because it's a meeting of the who is who's, the Dangotes, so. But I will squeeze you in there because you need to be on the table. People like you must be on the table, because you need to hear it right from the beginning. So I will get you on the table. I will get you on the table. Yes, my brother.
Yes, my name is Jeffrey Mariga. I was born and raised in Zimbabwe, actually. I'm a geologist by background. I work for an oil company here in Houston, Chevron. And I've had so many opportunities to travel to Africa, working from here, actually working in Angola as a geologist. But one of the key things that I've noticed is I travel right across the continent is that we don't trust each other. It is very difficult to go work with a Nigerian. Actually, a Nigerian would prefer working with a European than working with me as a Zimbabwean. You know? Now, with that in mind and all this going on, we're going to have people that are going to be living in a society that's not as coherent as we anticipate it to be. You know? Now, let me just pose a simple question here. I was just writing it down. Actually, I want to make sure I put it down the right way. You know? First of all, what are some of the economic sectors that you are targeting for all this, and how do we hope to overcome the aspect of xenophobia, which I feel like is very prevalent in Africa?
Again, the first two priorities are infrastructure and agro-processing. The issue of trust. Let me say, our colonizers have a strategy on how to mess with individual African countries. They even have a strategy on how to mess with African Americans. They don't have a strategy on how to mess with the combined, united African diaspora.
Yes.
And this is precisely why my last meeting with Chairman Zuma, she said to me, my sister, if change is going to come to Africa, it's going to be brought by the diaspora. Yeah. But not only the African diaspora, but the diaspora in America. Yeah. I repeat, a very wise woman who saw something in me that I didn't know I had. Second, change is going to come to Africa by the African diaspora.
Good afternoon. My name is Joshua Dada. I'm a local businessman here within the entertainment industry. And to your point, what you just said, what I'm curious of, you talked about black people not being anchored by design. And so we know there's been a bit of social and mental conditioning in the African American community, the original diaspora. What are the strategies or tactics that's going to help get their buy-in? Because there's a divide even there where they don't see themselves as Africans, or sometimes.
It's really simple. 2017, President Trump was talking to the African heads of states, and it doesn't make you stop and say, "What? You got to be stupid." President Trump told the African heads of states that I don't know why you're poor. My friends go to Africa poor, they come back rich. That is all the African heads of states are saying. They're saying they are coming to Africa to invest. They go back home, play golf, while their money is working in Africa. My brother, do you have a problem with that? Thank you. May I rest my case?
Hi, my name is Baye Diallo. I'm originally from Senegal. So when you talked about the French and what they do, is really hit home because I'm aware of everything and it just keeps me awake at night. One of the questions that I have is, you talked about bringing the diaspora to change. And my vision, not vision, but really to align with what you said is, the reason why the diaspora are going to change things is because we don't have the complex, that inferiority in front of these Caucasians. Because we went to school with them, we grew up with them, we went to the same environment with them. So we don't have any fear sitting on the table and negotiating with them because we are their peers. So we understand them, so we grew up with them. So one of the questions I want to have is, how can we have the education in Africa alongside the infrastructure and the project you have? Because if you don't have the education, having these people understand they're not inferior, and coming to the table and working with these people, it's going to be very hard to align the infrastructure and the people at the same time. So that's basically my question, to understand that like when you talked about the French, how they manipulate the people. Exactly, yes. So basically, that's my question.
But you got to understand that you're now on the table. You get to decide whether there's going to be an educational process and how that educational process is going to be delivered. You are on the table. You know the issues. Some issues we have to be very diplomatic on how to deal with. Some issues we go direct. But when you are on the table and you are the master planner, it's up to you.
Next.
Good afternoon. My name is Eddie Dion.
After this question, we're going to have just one more. Yes.
All right. You can hear my American accent. I'm born here. My heritage is Nigerian. I'm an environmental toxicologist, and so I've heard everything about infrastructure. I've heard everything about agriculture, everything, but I want to understand what would be the environmental aspect to this pact or to this movement that you have going on. I haven't heard anything in regards to that, and from my understanding, the environmental concerns in Africa are pretty heavy. A lot of people either ignore it, or they don't attend to it, or it's not taken as serious. So even while you're building the railroad or anything, the airspace with the airlines, I want to understand what is the environmental impact that you're going to have on the continent of Africa.
So let me just help you guys kind of get out of the setting mode. As I listen to some of your questions, you are still thinking with a colonized mind. Yes. And a mind that's suffering from the legacy of slavery. Yeah. You are waiting for somebody to do it for you. Yeah. I am saying you are going to be on the table. So you will be the one advising to say, as we build this railway line, these are the environmental concerns that we need to deal with. Are you with me? Yes. We are creating it, rather than waiting to say, well, what are they doing? Who is there? You are the they now. You are now the they. So when you come with your expertise on the table, you're going to be telling this oil guy here to say, no, you got to look at this, you got to look at that, because that's your area. Yes. He just wants to get the oil out of the ground. Yes. Are you with me? Yes. And he wants the money to come play golf with him. And then the socially conscious over here, my brother, we don't do that anymore. There's something called social social corporate responsibility, and you gotta do 20% because that's what the board agreed on. Because how can he live in a mansion when the maid who is working for him lives in a shack? We won't have that. We will make sure for every house that's built, there's an extra $5 for the house, for your housekeeper, for your gardener. Your housekeeper must drive their own car to come clean your house. That's what we're doing. What we have seen in the past was all kind of exploitation of black people, intentionally making us feel superior. We are going to raise all of us up. Why? Because we can.
Yes. Madam Ambassador, I want to thank you very much for breaking the chains. I'm with you. I don't need any more discussion. As my father would said, enough said. I'm Cleo Franklin. I have 30 years in agriculture, working for John Deere, Case New Holland, and Mahindra. I was their Chief Marketing Officer, Vice President of Strategic Planning. I just developed businesses for these guys all over the world. I have now, within the last 30 days, started my own business and, of course, work with other entities. And I thank Brother West and Brother Festus that I'm working together. I just want to make a statement, folks. As you talked about this systemic infrastructure that has been placed by design in our heads, it's done. Done. So I will give you my contacts to be able to talk about agro-processing, because you have enough talent in this room already. This is for the children of Africa, which, by the way, I was born in Chicago, but by, as my DNA says, Cameroon, Congo, Congo, Ghana, and God bless Mali.